Good afternoon, dear students. I am Pavlov Andrei Fedorovich, assistant at the Department of General and Molecular Biology. Today we will explore new topic, uh, practical lesson number 14, environmental factors, inorganic and organic xenobiotics, mechanism and ways of impact on the human body. Mutagenic effect of ionizing radiation. On this slide shows lesson plan. 1. Xenobiotics definition and classification xenobiotics. 2. Pathological states etiologically connected with impact on human inorganic and organic symbiotics. Reproductive violations, embryotoxic act, miscarriage, pregnancy, uh, multiple defects, developmental malignant neoplasms. 3. The main concepts of radiation ecology: radioactivity, radiation, ionizing radiation, penetrating ability, half life radiation dose. 4. Influence ionizing radiation to living organisms. 5. Mutagenic, teratogenic, and carcinogenic effects ionizing radiation. 6. Theories explaining the mechanism of action of ionizing radiation. 7. Path intake of radionuclides into living organisms. 8. Source of ionizing radiation. Using ionizing radiation in science and practice. Xenobiotics are chemical compounds alien to the body which entering the environment in significant quantities can cause disturbance in biochemical and physiological processes. Structural components at the molecular, genetic, cellular, and organismal levels in living organisms. The main characteristics of the majority xenobiotics: lipophilicity, the ability to penetrate membranes by simple diffusion, the ability to transport it in the blood using lipoproteins, accumulate in adipose tissue. On this slide shows scheme toxicokinetics of xenobiotics. The effect of chemical factors on the human body is conditioned. If surplus in the environment to toxic effect if a lack of environment deficiency states. Those depend a reaction of elements shed are not involved in metabolic reactions. The relationship between in insufficient and excess supply of necessary solid line and non-essential dotted line elements in the development of pathology in humans. Periods of reproductive function are vulnerable to action toxicants. Uh, Preconceptual period, conceptual period, pregnancy, birth, growth and development baby, transplacental, uh, carcinogenesis. Female reproductive system consists of four anatomical structures, the function of which is regulated by hormones produced by the uh, pituitary gland, ovaries, placenta. Ovaries are an almond-shaped pet organ located on both sides on the uterus. The functions of the ovaries are oogenesis, the formation of female germ cells, gametes or seeds, and the production of steroid hormones, estrogen, uh, progesterone. All junior formed during the period of in taurine development of the fetus of the future female body. In a woman's body, only the maturation of eggs occurs. One egg or seed of the second order matures alternately in the left and in the right ovaries of a woman every 2 months. Fallopian tubes channels connecting the ovary with the lumen of the uterus. This is the place of fusion of male and female germ cells, and the path along which ovulated the oocyte moves to the uterus. Uterus, a ball of organ with powerful muscular walls located in the pelvic cavity. Anatomically, the uterus is divided into four sections: bottom, body, isthmus, neck. The wall of the uterus consists of three layers: the endometrium, the mucous membrane lining the uterine cavity, Enter with the fertilized egg is implanted and where the fertilized egg matures, myometrium, muscle tissue that provides the exit of the fetus during childbirth, uh, peritoneum, and vagina. Uh, education that connects the uterine cavity with the external environment. Male reproductive system consists of four organs, the function of which are regulated by hormones synthesized by the pituitary gland, the testes or testicles. Testes are paired organ located on the in the scrotum, in which male reproductive cells, sperm, are formed and steroid hormones are synthesized, leading of cells synthesize testosterone. The developing sperm goes through stage spermatogonia. Spermatocyte of the first order spermatocyte of the second order spermatident sperm. In humans, the process of sperm maturation takes about 70 days. Appendage testicles, a convoluted tubular structure that connects the testicle with the effects tubule, the channels that provides the exit of sperm into the uteria. The function of the epididymis is to provide conditions for the maturation of sperm and their release. Urethra, a canal in which two sections are distinguished, the prostatic and the one passing through the penis. The uteria connects the afferent tubule with the external environment. Fertilization takes place in the fallopian tubes and consists of the fusion of the female reproductive cell and sperm. The fertilized egg is transferred to the uterus, where it is implanted into the endometrium implantation period. In this period, lasting about 2 weeks, the cells, due to its great euthemy from the mother's body, is not very sensitive to the action toxicants. If during these periods the mother's body of significantly damaged the egg dies is spontaneously aborted and the pregnancy is not diagnosed. After cell implantation, the embryonic period of development begins lasting up to 6-7 weeks after conception. During this period, sensitivity to toxicant specially great. In the case of the effect on the mother's body, the formation of late morphological defect in the development of the fetus or its death is possible. The embryonic period is followed by a period of fetal growth. During this period, the sensitivity of the developing organism to toxicant constantly changing. Each fetal organ forming at different times has its own critical period or the highest sensitivity to xenobiotics. Organic genetics usually ends in the first trimester of pregnancy, but development of the genitals and central nervous system continues after the baby is born. Substance suspected of impairing reproductive function. First, steroids. Second, anti-neoplastic drugs. Third, psychoactive drugs. Substance acting on CNS. Fourth, metals and trans elements. Sixth, herbicides, rodenticides. Seventh, food supplements. Eighth, industrial toxicants. And ninth, others products is ethanol, components of tobacco smoke, fire extinguishing agents. Substance that cause primary damage to the male reproductive organs. Spermatogonia, toxicant, bisulfan, procarbazine, spermatocytes, two methoxytanol, procarbazine, spermacides, methyl chloride, cells sertoli, dinitro benzene, hexandione. Cells Leydig, ethane dimethyl sulfonate, epididimocytes, chlorhydrin, methyl chloride, ethane dimethyl sulfonate, and accessory sex glands, imidazole. Reproductive characteristics in the postnatal period can be influenced by xenobiotics that enter of the body of a nursing mother and excreted in breast milk. Substances such as metals, mercury, lead, tetrachloroethane, halogenated aromatic hydrocarbons, pesticides can enter the newborn's body in this way in large quantities. Most often with reproductive disorders, they are faced with polygenic, multifactorial, synergistic, toxic development action. The main manifestations or the toxic effect of chemicals on organs and tissues responsible for the reproductive functions of the body and directly on the fetus are infertility and teratogenesis. The main concepts of radiation ecology, radioactivity, radiation, ionizing radiation, penetration power, half-life, radiation dose. Influence ionizing radiation to living organisms. Radiation caused in the body a number of reversible and irreversible changes. The mechanism of action in the processes of ionization of the components biomolecule atoms. The disintegration of complex molecules by breaking chemical bonds is a direct consequence of the action of radiation. A bigger role in the development of negative biological effects belongs to radiation chemical changes associated with the products of water radiolysis. Highly active hydrogen compounds enter into chemical reaction with biomolecules, which contributes to the disruption of the biochemical processes of the body. At the same time, normal metabolic processes are disrupted. The development of tissue slows down and stops. New chemical compounds and substances are formed that are not characteristics of the body and are dangerous for it. This causes disruption of the functioning of individual organs and systems of the body. Mutagenic are a specific set of factors that affect the body, making a change in the structure of the genetic apparatus. Teratogenic affect a violation of embryonic development under the influence of teratogenic factors. Some physical, chemical, and biological agents with the appearance of morphological anomalies and malformations. A carcinogen effect is the agent that due to its physical or chemical properties can cause irreversible changes and damage in those parts of the genetic apparatus that exercise control over somatic cells. Uh, on these slides, the next slides to shows theory of the mechanism of biological action of ionizing radiation. First stage, primary direct action of radiation on biochemical processes, functions and structures of organs and tissues. Second phase, indirect action, which is due to neurogenic and humoral changes that occur in the body under the influence of radiation. Theory of direct action of radiation on the constituent molecules of matter. Indirect action theory. Theory of the mechanism of biological action of ionizing radiation. The direct effect of ionizing radiation is understood as such changes that arise as a result of absorption of radiation energy by the molecules themselves. The indirect action of radioactive radiation is understood as a change in the molecules of cells tissues caused by the radiolysis of water and substance dissolves in it. Direct radiation series target theory stomatic theory of the indirect action of ionizing radiation of free radical theory. On this slide shows some information about target theory. On these slides, the next slide shows some information about stochastic theory as well as the target theory it takes into account the probabilistic nature of the radiation height, the sensitive volume of the cell, but in contrast to it, it also takes into account the state of the cell as a biological object, a labile dynamic system. On this slide shows scheme of the participation of primary radiotoxins in the development of radiation injury to the body. Now, on this slide shows waste intake of radionuclides into living organisms. And this slide shows source ionizing radiation and the use of radiation, ionizing radiation in science and praxis. Thank you for your attention. Bye, dear students.